What's up, team? This is Frank playing a time-traveling, mech-piloting, alien-killing machine. This is a quick and dirty review of Into the Breach. Were you a fan of turn-based strategy games like Final Fantasy Tactics and Front Mission 3? I loved those games back on my PlayStation 1. Into the Breach is also a turn-based isometric strategy game which requires careful planning and execution of actions. The game focuses on two things that I feel are unique for the genre, namely, Into the Breach plays with both time and space in clever ways. For starters, enemies move before you do, and you have to react based on their movements. In keeping with the time-traveling motif, it's as though you froze time and acted in a split second before the enemy completed their actions. Like here you can see the enemy is about to attack this train and reinforcements are about to burrow up through the ground here. Armed with this knowledge, I can move my mech here to block this burrowing enemy and at the same time push this enemy away, preventing it from attacking anything. But the hapless train is still going to run into this floating alien, so I'll laser him with the mech from Metal Gear Solid and decimate this alien with my fist so that he can't lob his alien goo bomb on it. Also, by default you have one redo per mission in which you can revert all actions to the start of your turn, which is a real lifesaver if you accidentally miscalculated or found a better set of actions after you've already begun your moves. The game also plays with space in that many units have the ability to move friends or foes in various ways. Some mechs push, pull, or throw units around, and this allows you to drown enemies who can't swim, prevent enemies from landing their hits, and have enemies attack each other. Even when I've planned all my actions, like who to block, who to push, who to ignore, I found myself always taking an extra minute to see if any better alternatives existed. The number of times I found the perfect set of solutions to neutralize an enemy threat in the face of what I thought was inevitable defeat made me wonder if the game intentionally placed these little puzzles for me as prefabricated tests rather than simply placing procedurally generated mobs and obstacles in my way. Also, the game rewards players who take the time to learn each mech's unique kit. A good example of this is the Ice Mech, which deals no damage but can freeze an enemy, rendering it unable to move or act. This move also freezes you, which at first seems really dumb. You can thaw yourself by using up your next turn with the repair button, which all mechs have, but it seems really silly that this unit can only attack every other turn. But then you learn that frozen units and buildings take no damage when they're hit. Thus, placing your frozen mech in the enemy's line of fire or staying frozen while hovering over an enemy's burrow location will not only stop the enemy's actions, but also unfreeze you, allowing you to attack immediately on the next turn. By spending time with each mech and trying out different things, I found that even the seemingly worst mech kits can become critical to a squad's success. Having said this, there are definitely times where player error, unfortunate enemy and player positioning, and simply being overrun by alien scum ultimately results in defeat, and you will be defeated often, especially early on. Although your mechs can be damaged and even killed in battle, this won't necessarily end your game. The thing you really have to look out for is your grid power, located here. Every time an enemy successfully attacks a powered building, your grid takes damage. There is a small chance that the building will resist the damage indicated by this percentage value here, but don't rely on this small chance and be thankful when it works. If your grid reaches 0, you'll have to restart your run, resetting all the items and levels you got, except for one pilot of your choosing that will time travel out to try again in another timeline. That is, Isaac Jones here will breach time and join you in your new procedurally generated run while maintaining all the experience and buffs he earned from the previous failed attempt. You can only start your run with one unique pilot who is always accompanied by two generic teammates, but over the course of the game you can run into these time pods from other timelines which sometimes have power-ups and pilots inside for you to swap around and arrange for your team. The number of items and their uses is quite staggering and makes for a steep learning curve at the beginning of the game. You see, there are 24 mechs with 3 extra secret ones, several enemy types, and a multitude of weapons and bonuses to learn. Suffice to say, the early game will feel very cumbersome and messy, but given enough time, you will be pulling off some flawless execution and feel really good about how completely you decimated the enemy forces. So back to the story. Humanity is being threatened by the Vec that breed inside the Earth's crust, but in the future, humans discover time travel, allowing you to go back in time to stop the alien menace and prevent this calamity from ever happening. Honestly, the story is not that interesting, and although the speech bubbles from the frightened civilians and the dialogue from the pilots and corporate executives try to give weight and meaning to the characters and events, I cared little about it. Since the game is predicated on skipping across timelines to repeat the same final mission over and over, albeit with random placements of units and obstacles, it really undercuts the attempt to make the player care about what happens in this timeline. Mostly, my motivation centered around minimizing damage to my grid so that I could continue my run. I often had to adopt a utilitarian perspective when I simply didn't have enough moves or characters to stop every enemy action. Sacrificing buildings to complete an objective is sometimes a necessary evil, and your mechs do a great job of tanking shots and blocking reinforcements since they get repaired for free after each mission. Yeah, it sucks when you lose a member of your crew in a fight, but at least the mech can continue to be used sans pilot in the next mission without the buffs, bonuses, and XP gain. The main incentive to go for that one more run isn't to beat the game. That only gives you a score regarding how many lives you saved and the population of the Earth and whatever. What I was really interested in doing was completing the 3 unique achievements for each mech squad. squad. Doing so will give you coins which you can spend on buying new squads. By playing over and over, you will unlock new pilots and unique abilities, and assuming you complete the squad-specific challenges, you'll be able to purchase new squads with unique starting abilities like chain lightning, lasers that shoot through enemies, fires that damage over time, acid that lowers armor, and more. You even get the ability to generate a random and custom-built squad, which further increases the variability and challenges for your next run. You'll then take your newly minted squad to fight on the 4 available islands, which you can tackle in any order once you've unlocked them. You only need to secure 2 islands before you can take on the final volcanic stage, but you may also try your luck at completing 3 or all 4 islands to get more items, pilots, and power for your mech. However, the game's difficulty will scale with your progress, and so doing poorly on an island may place you in an unwinnable scenario for your final battle, especially when you don't get the items or results you needed to match your playstyle and squad choice. Lastly, the game works well on both keyboard and mouse and gamepad, which is helpful for those of us with tendonitis and carpal tunnel. And remember, this was a quick and dirty review of Into the Breach.